Hello and welcome back to the Maratha Confederacy Abridged. Previously we put down some rebels in England and we took Ireland. However, this state of affairs didn't last for long because the French naval invaded from America, so we soon lost Ireland again. To take revenge, I attacked Paris. This turned into a switcheroo when the United Provinces bought it off France or something, so we had to fight twice for the city, but we did get it in the end. After this, we've got this new bankruptcy situation going on. Not quite sure what's going on. It says I'm going to become bankrupt, but also says I'm going to make over 1,000 in income. So some kind of misreporting error going on here. We'll see about that in a second. As we move forwards, the United Provinces are at it again, just raiding our border there, and Spain declares war on us. So that's inconvenient. Now, with our new French territory, we're at war in every direction. All of the possible borders are going to have enemies coming at us. So that's going to make it difficult to attack, potentially, since we need to leave stuff behind. Plus, we need to do that anyway for public order right now. At the start of the next turn, we do indeed become bankrupt. Not quite sure how we managed this. We're still actually making an income even after the enemy's raids. So yeah, seems like there are some costs that aren't being properly reported here. Who knows what they are? If anyone happens to have any ideas, write it in the comments. So yes, just going to sit here and do nothing with our army in Paris for now. But we can move to attack Ireland again. I moved some troops to Scotland last time, thinking the French might walk over there. But they stayed in Ireland, so we can cross and counter-attack. It looks like, though, they have another group of units that we can't see on the island somewhere just nearby. Because of this, I decided not to go in for an attack right away, which I was planning, because there is quite a lot of stuff in there now. And instead I wait for the end turn. By the way, our two agents from India have reached the Ottoman Empire. They're gradually walking to their new home. We'll see them later, I expect. For now, the garrison in Ireland does sally, and the good news is the other group isn't involved in this battle, so we do end up getting a slightly easier battle for Dublin, as I had hoped. There's also a bunch of provincial or colonial style units in here, which tend to be a bit worse than the regular units they are based on, so that's good news. They came at us spread out all over the map. You can see on the mini-map, they've got no particular formation. That's going to help us out in this one really, because we can take out individual units before things start. Like these native bowmen who were sneaking up on my left flank, but they snuck right into the cav. Also occurred to me that these guys being called things like native bowmen isn't very useful now that we're fighting in Ireland. I'm guessing it only makes sense if you're colonising those natives. Might be better if they were just called American bowmen or something like that. Here are some more of them. They run up to our front line. Luckily they rout after we start shooting them, and they're totally on their own. So that's the skirmish phase over. And it would have been a bit of a worry because, as mentioned previously, bowmen are pretty good if the AI actually shoot them because they're super accurate. I charge out on the right flank with some cav and slam into some more of these auxiliary troops and drive them away as well. After that, you can see we're starting to get a formation appearing as the enemy begin to line battle with us, but we're also seeing units rout immediately as they go into combat, so this force is not particularly good. On our left flank, I've bent my formation to face off against these firelock troops. We've got camels and swords advancing to face them. There's another unit right behind them and our cav swoop in to deal with them. The only thing we need to keep in mind here is that because the enemy is spread out, when you attack these leading units, the following units might stop and start shooting your cav, so need to pay attention to that. Looks like we successfully get a sword charge into the front of the citizenry, who presumably have like low melee stats, and they also rout right away, so that's an easy repulsion. Here in the middle we've got some enemy line infantry who might pose a threat to our line infantry, who are a bit worse at ranged battling. However, the enemy are forgetting to fire, and that's going to be crucial, obviously. Then we get what I presume is a bit of luck. Their general here amongst their cav just randomly dies. Looks like he got hit by a stray shot, the mythical stray shot killing the general. Someone managed to shoot through the cav unit, missing everyone else and hitting him. I'm guessing it was these camels here. So yeah, that's going to help out even more. Now we've got another morale shock, and the enemy's morale was already out the window as the fight started. You can see I'm basically withdrawing here because I don't want to be caught as the enemy's reinforcements arrive. I want them to form up and then attack me all together, because even though that gives them more damage potential, it's easier to outflank them basically, it's just less messy. Over here we get a charge cancel. I'm guessing because this unit had a few guys out of formation, We charged like 2 of them and the rest just sort of reflected our momentum and nothing happened. So that sucks, because as mentioned previously, these Lancer Cav can't necessarily beat enemy line infantry in a straight up fight. Over here we've got a situation where my swords were chasing down some militia and we took a gun volley, and you can see it takes us down to wavering morale from eager, so that under small arms fire thing really gives you a lot of morale debuff. I'm guessing it also gives you the losing combat debuff because you've lost troops and they haven't. At least once the fight is joined, that's going to switch, that'll switch to the combat winning buff and we'll be fine. But yes, that might explain why so many enemy units just kind of rout when they come to engage us, because they're getting not only the small arms fire debuff, but the combat losing debuff as well. Not quite sure though. Anyway, looks like the last of the battle is happening over there on our left flank as the enemy's reinforcements form up to face us. And in the centre and the right, our cav are trying to finish everything off. We can see here the results of the charge cancelled engagement, where both sides have lost about 50 guys in the straight up melee, and that's with the enemy not having any bayonets. It's only going to get worse later on. However, there is a solution to this situation, and that is to just try and get the charge bonus to apply again. So right here, we run away for a bit, then turn around and run back in. Luckily, the enemy infantry figured we weren't coming back, so they actually turned to have their back to us. Good move. Now we slam in there. That's going to net us another 50 kills on top of the 50 we got already, and with that, this unit's going to get weak enough that we can just rout them and this won't be a prolonged melee. That's more like it. So with a bit of micro we can overcome our low quality melee stats. Meanwhile, units with high quality melee stats, like those swords, are just clearing up. And it's a similar story here on the left flank, where a mass of line infantry and militia are going up against the swords and realising that's not going to happen. This unit's facing off against our left flank cav. That's probably not going to happen for them either. At this stage we just need to run the enemy off the field and basically try to kill as many as possible, but again I'm hampered by the fact that I don't know whether hitting end battle as the enemy rout automatically kills some of them for you like it does in other Total Wars. If anyone does know, then let me know, because I usually just hit end battle because I can't be bothered to chase into the rout phase. But I feel like a lot of enemies tend to be surviving my battles, as far as I've noticed so far, in retrospect anyway. So maybe there is no automatic killing rule. As you can see, we've soon routed everything, we chased them off the field, and as it says here, some of them are still alive. So we don't automatically get the settlement or anything like that, we've just really weakened them. In the next turn I noticed that the United Provinces aren't just Amsterdam and Brussels, which is what I thought previously. They've actually got a couple of other regions. They've taken down some of the minor Germanic factions in this area. So they're a bit of a bigger opponent than I thought, and of course we've got Savoy and Spain to the south who could come up at any moment. So need to pay attention to all that, of course, and there's also a French rebellion in France at the moment. But first, we're just going to fight over Dublin again, because I made the attack and we're facing not just the survivors from the battle we just saw, but the units I avoided fighting last time. Now they're going to come in, so that bounce bar's not ideal. Need to do this one manually. The enemy open up with one of the classic opening moves, the cav charge. However, my guys aren't too interested in firing. You can see this unit here is thinking about it. I think they must have moved recently, and it takes a really long time to get out of the long tail of the move animations where they just stand still for a while. So they couldn't fire. We did actually take the charge, but the enemy unit routed as it made contact, and that seemed to cancel the charge bonus, so we actually didn't lose any troops to that charge. We got away with that pretty well. Then they come at us with their infantry and a little line battle starts. Although a lot of their infantry units are tiny, they're also sort of out of formation. You can see me here being cheeky, trying to quickly charge out with the cav and rout the foremost unit before the other one starts shooting at the cav. On our right flank I'm going to deploy the swords to run along the side of this hill and just slam into some of the bigger enemy units. These are the ones coming in from their second army. And here we go, we get a sword battle with these militia units. That should be nice and juicy. It's not completely one-sided, the militia do kill a bunch of your guys, because I think melees are just really deadly for everyone, but more deadly for the enemy. Then there's a bit of line battling going on against these miniature enemy units that don't spread out to use their firepower very well. So that's fine. We kill a commander at the back here, might have been the commander of the second army or something. But perhaps that still gives the debuff to the first army. I think it works like that, at least it did in later Total War games as far as I know. Anyway, soon everything does rout. We start chasing them, but here's me cancelling the chase as I realised my camels are stampeding through my own troops and killing them, the battle wasn't over, because they did the other classic move of leaving a unit at the back of the map in cover. This is because technically the enemy is the defender in this battle. They only attacked because I had the guns to force them forward. So we go across the map, kill the guys in cover by getting Cav to jump over the wall and surprise them, and that's the end of that, another win. And this is a big win for us. Not only is Ireland back under our control, and now this whole corner of Britain and Ireland is under our control, which is nice and secure, but this also defeats France as a player. They are out of here. This means Quebec spawns in the Americas from the old French colonies. So early Quebec and early United States in this timeline, and France is gone. Technically, France is still around because there is a French rebel army in France, so if they defeat me, that will remake France as a faction, I believe. The real big daddy to get is Spain. If we take them down, the Americas would fall into chaos, but taking Spain down is difficult because part of their empire is in Europe, so you have to take all of it to knock Spain out of the game, and that's probably going to be more difficult. Anyway, now on to this rebel army I just mentioned. They're standing near Paris. Unfortunately, they do have some good units. They're like regular tier or better. Was hoping it would just be a bunch of citizenry and militia or something. So our army apparently has an even fight against them. They've got some artillery in their army this time, so they don't necessarily just charge right at us. They're going to start things off trying to artillery duel with us. But we're shooting first, and we actually get a hit that almost takes out one of their guns. Takes out some crew and is enough to rout the rest of the crew for now, although they do come back. But once they're back to the guns, the enemy have put their line right in front of them. That means their line of sight's kind of blocked, so they don't shoot at us very much. Meanwhile, while I'm shooting back, we accidentally kill their general with another lucky hit to the cav behind them. So more good RNG, 2 random generals sniped in this episode so far. That's going well. After the general died, they seemed tempted to grab their lancers and go for a charge, but after shooting them a bit, they decided not to do that, and they just shattered, even with quite a few troops left. The morale effect of small arms fire really is more than I figured it was going to be. Anyway, after this, they advance their main line and a fight looks set to begin, which is bad for us because they have more line infantry and better line infantry, so we need to make up the difference with our cav as soon as possible and try to not prolong the ranged battle. Here's me not paying attention. The enemy move up and start shooting right into the front of these cav, and then I notice after we start taking losses, I'm going to charge right on forwards. Luckily this other unit was facing the wrong direction, so we can slam into them without being shot at point blank range or anything like that. And the slam really demoralizes them. I think they also had the small arms fire demoralization, and those 2 units on the enemy's left flank are their 2 best ones, so taking them out is a high priority. I'm also coming in from behind. We've got 1 unit blocking our lancers there. Unfortunately that unit didn't rout, so we need to grind through them a bit. But yes, on the enemy left things have gone to plan. The 2 Buckley's regiments are annihilated, and now we fold back into the centre and slam right into the front of this next unit. In this case we don't go right through them, so it's another one of these things where we can't get the guys at the back to apply their charge bonus, meaning we don't completely overrun them. They're going to stop us and fight us for a bit, but that bit isn't very long. Meanwhile, elsewhere the cav marauding about in the enemy's backlines are doing good work. And I also did an elephant charge, which was another thing that was better than expected. This unit over here routs with tons of strength even before the elephants get to them. So yeah, the morale debuffs can really be a big deal. I'm guessing we're stacking things like the general being dead and flanks being exposed and even army losses at this stage. So I guess it's easy to rout these guys. But it allows us to overcome the fact that all of these enemy units we're facing are better than ours. Their armies are quite good, but they're performing terribly because most of them die while our lancers are killing them in the rout stage. So that's absolutely perfect and kind of realistic as well for how battles actually go in real life. So the rebels are down, public order is still terrible, so it might happen again, but we've held on to France for now. The next challenge is on the way though. Savoy send a stack up which stops right outside Paris. Seems they wanted to attack but they ran out of movement, or maybe they couldn't see Paris before and hoped it was undefended, then stopped when they saw it wasn't. We got this interesting deal from the United States. They'll give me Maine and the Carolinas if I give them Scotland. and I thought maybe I should do this. I was very tempted by the meme potential of having a little base over in the Americas to do some stuff over there. But I figured I won't do it in the end, because what's probably going to happen there is Spain will just invade and take them, and then we won't have Scotland. So instead we just do nothing with that deal. Nice idea though. Then we just move on to the next turn, since all we're doing is holding down our territory. The United Provinces take one of our forts, try to retreat. Some trash there, but I think they got deleted because there was nowhere they could retreat to. So that's a shame, I guess. But more importantly, the Savoyards do attack Paris. Their army is actually pretty good, but it seems it's been fighting already. They've got a stack packed with good troops, professional and experienced troops, but they're damaged, and they have to attack our fort. And of course, they're being commanded by Empire Total War's AI, so we can rely on the fact they're probably going to do something stupid that will mean this even balance bar's not so bad. Although actually I take it back, because the first thing that happened was I did something stupid. I had the cannons set up inside the fort, and they're on fire at will. This means they shoot into the fort wall, trying to hit things beyond it. I guess the fire at will AI is somewhat to blame there. But basically, they need to be switched off. Luckily I noticed and stopped before the fort exploded or something. Now here come the enemy's infantry. I had positioned all of my lancers behind the fort, so the guys that start going around towards the back get a very rude surprise as my guys pop up and charge into them. We get mixed results. Where the charge works well, we rout them real fast. Where the charge doesn't really count, we don't rout them real fast and we have to grind our way through them. Luckily, with like 3 units of cav, we can out-melee single units of line infantry and get some more charges going. So that's fine. Something similar is happening on the other side of the fort. I'm just trying to stop these guys from climbing, because of course once they start climbing the fort wall, all of these lancers become much less useful to me, so we kind of need to use them right away. Meanwhile, some of them are going to get inside because we don't have the whole wall covered, and there our limited body of infantry will try to hold them off. I do actually have the plug bayonet unlocked, but I forgot to equip it on these troops, so they're not using it. Not actually sure what it does, presumably it makes your melee stats higher. Here was a case where an enemy unit's almost done climbing the wall, but we can just about use the cav to help with the fight. By charging the guys down there, we'll grab a few kills, and that also presumably counts as a rear attack or something. So the guys at the top rout in response, and now our limited troops can take them out. What was that just there? Looks like a couple of guys are doing some matrix stuff, flying all over the place, fighting in fast motion. But that aside, the fights are going to be pretty grindy on top of that wall until the enemy rout. Then we're fine. Also, still trying to hunt for stuff to take out with my Lancer cav units, which are now dominating the outside of the fort. But of course, the enemy do actually have their own cav to use as well. They were just sitting at the back of the map, but as the infantry start to die, they ride on in, and we just form up to charge them from multiple directions. Their cav are very fancy looking. I know it's the British Empire famous for their red coats, but check out these red coats. They might even somehow be redder. Gonna have to play as these guys next time and invade Britain again. May the reddest coats win. In this case, these red coats are going downtown because they're totally surrounded, and they're going to rout while in this blob of my troops, so they'll just instantly die. On the wall, I'm being eager to make use of our citizenry, the garrison unit you get for free, because even though I'm sure they suck, any kills they get are free kills, because we don't have to pay anything to get them back. So yes, the infantry on the wall do get taken out, leading to this result. You might be wondering, by the way, how my units are even still alive, because the cav in particular have died like several times over the course of all the battles we've thrown them through, but I am just constantly paying to have them be replenished pretty much every turn off camera. So every turn a few troops come back, and we're staying up to strength. Looks like the Portuguese tried to attack this ship that was forced out to sea. It then retreats to the other side of the known universe, thus avoiding harm, so that's fine. I have another use for a different ship in the next turn, because now we can leave Ireland without public order being an issue. So my second army needs to come down to the front. Luckily I can make this cheeky clear run to good old Brest and throw the troops out here. Now we can work towards having an army that's free to move, so we'll have these guys move to Paris and just hold it down, both for public order reasons and because it might be attacked by the enemy, and the main army can go and do something, and we can make some progress in the campaign, so we are now getting there. The remnants of the Savoyard force unfortunately went around and raided stuff, so we do need to go and kill them, otherwise they'll keep doing it and that will lower our income. So because of that, there will now be a slight distraction. I sent the guns off to Paris to give us some more movement points, allowing me to take that disaster auto-resolve against the enemy survivors. They retreat back to their territory, and that's probably going to save us some money in the long run. Then we can move these guys back to Paris in the next turn, and the main army sitting in Paris can deploy out. So now we're ready to actually do some stuff. The main thing I want to do is go for the United Provinces, and we have a chance to do it right away, because nearby Brussels has a bunch of troops standing outside, so we can do a classic siege draw-out to fight a portion of their garrison now, leaving only an easy garrison to kill afterwards. So we'll stop this part for now, and in the next part we will cover the Maratha invasion of the United Provinces and their Germanic Empire.